Hi, I'm Barb of Barb's Times, and today we're going to talk about my worst concert experience ever. This took place on September 30th, 1982, and we were going to see The Who at Pontiac Silverdome. So there were four of us. There was me, my boyfriend Steve, his sister Jill, and our friend Paul. So we left early. I had a dentist appointment. I had to have the stitches taken out of my wisdom teeth, which actually wasn't that painful. And I was so primed for the concert, I didn't care. So we head down there. I'm wearing my Santa Dog t-shirt by the Residents, even though I wasn't Residents fan. I liked the t-shirt. And it was white with a little dog on it. It had a little Santa hat. It was cute. So we head down there. We got down, left early, and everything on the way down was a good sign that the concert was going to be a good one. Whether it be a kind of car, a license plate, that was a good sign. A billboard, that was a good sign. Even things that were dead on the side of the road, that was a good sign. Everything was a good sign, and we were just hyped. So we get down there. We got down there about maybe noon, I think. And so it was a warm day. Sun was out. It was beautiful. So we wait at the gate, and after a while, everybody sits down. Everybody's tired of standing. So we're sitting there. And as the hours tick past, like different funny things happen. Like the security guards came out, and somebody threw a bag of chips at one of the security guards, and he ducks. And somebody yelled, "Hey, guy, they're only chips." So that's one of the catchphrases we've kept over the years. And another one was, "Open the gates, open the gates." So anyway, so we were having fun. We were just talking and hanging out. So then about, I'd say maybe 5:30, they decided to open the gates. So we all stood up. Now, this was 3 years prior to this is when there was the tragedy in Cincinnati with the Who, where 11 people were killed. They were trampled to death. And the reason that was is because they were all lined up at the gates, waiting for the gates to open, and there was a crush. Well, either it was the Who's sound check, or somebody was playing Quadrophenia, but the band heard the Who and they thought they'd already started, so they thought they were missing the show, so they pushed even harder forward. Well, they only opened two doors out of, I think, eight. So can you imagine thousands of people pushing against these two open doors and the people that were in front of it, and they just 11, as I said, 11 people were killed, and it was a really scary situation. So as the people started pushing forward as they were opening the gates, of course, this is going on in my head. And so I get out, Steve gets out, Jill gets out, and then I see Paul, and he's just plastered up against the fence. And I just I just yelled out, "Paul," and I was so scared, and my heart was racing, and I was trying to get to him, and I couldn't, but he was just plastered against the fence. Well, somehow he managed to kind of scoot his way down the fence and get around the pole and get in the gate. So we're good. So we go down to the floor where we had tickets, and we were standing on the floor. Then everybody sits down because everybody's tired of standing up. So we all sit down, and then about maybe 5:30. So then about 7 o'clock, um, the lights come on and the music starts. So we're all getting excited. So we all stand up, and the people that were up in the seats started coming down to the floor and started pushing the people on the floor. So there was this big push against the barricade. So we were about maybe 3 or 4 people deep. By this time, we'd all gotten separated. We weren't together anymore. So I was on my own. So I'm getting smushed, and I can't move my arms, I can't move my legs, and I'm being lifted off of the ground from the force of the people pushing against me on all sides. It was lifting me up off of the ground. And once you're in that position, you can't control where you go or what you do. So that was scaring me. I didn't like that. So finally, everybody kind of settled down a little bit. And so then they started with the music again, and everybody pushed forward. So I got pushed forward. So I managed to shoulder my way in to the point where I was right up against the barricade. I mean, right up against it. In fact, almost falling over it. So I'm there, and I'm like, "Oh, cool, this is going to be the best show ever." And I'm all excited. Well, there was a biker on each side of me, and I think they decided they didn't want me there anymore. So they took their shoulders, pushed them forward, and pushed my shoulders back, forcing me back into the crowd. Now, I knew if I went back into the crowd, even if I only went back one row of people, even two people, two rows of people, I was going to get, something was going to happen that was bad, and I wasn't going to be able to move. And people were just pushing, almost, it was like a pulse almost. They just kept, there was this rhythm of just shoving, and you could just feel yourself moving back and forth with no control over what you could do. So I thought, if I go 4 or 5 people deep and something happens, I'm gonna get stomped to death. So I said, that's it. So I waved to the bodyguard. He comes up to the barricade. I said, pull me out. He's like, you sure? I said, yes. So he reaches down, grabs me under my armpits, starts pulling me. Well, he's pulling me, but the crowd is pushing. So I've got my lower legs, my shins pinned against the barricade, and I can't move. And the crowd's nobody's backing up. And meanwhile, the bodyguard's pulling me. So finally, I just got the strength. I don't know how, but I just started kicking people in the face and I kept yelling, let go of my legs, let go of my legs. Well, I mean, it wasn't really fair to them because they couldn't back up because they were getting pushed, but I needed space so I could get out. So finally, with one good pull, the security guard gets me out and sets me down, and I go off stage. So immediately when I got off stage, I started crying. I mean, not crying, I was sobbing. I was so upset, and I was so scared, and I was sweaty, and my white shirt was black, and my pants were all dusty, and I was just sweating and gross, and I didn't know what to do. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking at that point. And I'd lost all my friends. I didn't know where anybody was. So I went to the first aid room, just kind of hung out there in a couple minutes just to get myself together, and then spent the rest of the concert. Now, this was Eddie Money, The Clash, and The Who. For 3 bands, all I did was wander around in the halls of the Pontiac Silverdome because I'd lost interest in anything that was going on. I was just so scared, and I was so disappointed, and I was so angry at The Who because I knew every night they must have seen what was going on at that barricade. And I was mad at the promoters for not putting chairs on the floor and having assigned seating on the floor. And I was so upset. So finally, I went back to the car, walked around the outside of the stadium, I think a couple of times, went back to the car. Everybody was there. We met up and we went home. So that's the story of my worst concert experience ever. Thanks for sticking it out with me. If you would, hit that like button and subscribe, which would be really fabulous. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.